I'm Danielle Fisher. I'm the director of the Teaching School Hub, and alongside me today is Zoe Thompson, who is the deputy director, and Zoe will be leading on NPQs. Zoe will be talking to you for most of the briefing, and we'll hopefully be able to talk to you a little bit more about why we think the new NPQ reform is so great and how you can ultimately sign up. Mel Marshall is our Deputy Director. Some of you may have met Mel via Teams or email. Mel will be leading on the appropriate body work for the Teaching School Hub, and Giselle is our Marketing and Communication Administrator. So I just thought I'd take the time to just introduce everybody to you. So the remit of the Hub, many of you will know, is around the Early Careers Framework. We're working with many of your schools already to get those early careers teachers signed up, ready for September. We are also going to be working with you, hopefully, on the NPQ programmes, some CPD where relevant, and initial teacher training, although as a hub we don't deliver that at the moment, but might be something we look to do next year alongside our partners in Swindon and Wiltshire. So we're really excited about the new NPQs. We think that the reforms will mean that there's lots of opportunities for teachers and leaders to really kind of get stuck into those specialist NPQs around the behaviour and culture, the leading teacher development and leading teaching and learning. And really pleased that some of them are also funded, which will give those people who are really keen to specialise in some of the programmes an opportunity to do so. Please feel free to use the chat throughout this presentation to ask questions or make comments. I'll try and pick up where I can, and I know Zoe will scan at the end as well. Equally, Zoe will invite you all to ask any questions and hang around at the end so that we can make sure that you leave this briefing today feeling as informed as possible. And ultimately, if you do have any questions that you're left with that we can't answer, then we will do our best to get those answers to you. So thank you so much again for your time. Over to you, Zoe.
Thank you, Danielle. It's great to see so many of you here this evening at 5 o'clock. This presentation should take around 20 to 25 minutes, and as Danielle said, will be available for questions at the end. So really the aim of the briefing is to really go through the course overview of the NPQs and to really look at what the delivery model would look like. So the kind of the days of the week and twilights and what the sessions might look like. And really what support participants would need from all of us, to give some clarification on funding, and then the most important bit, really how to express your interest and the application process and what that will be at the end. In addition, everybody in this meeting will receive an email following this with a recording of the briefing and some further flyers, information and links to websites so that you can have a more in-depth look at the kind of programmes and what they offer. So the new reformed NPQs, what I find most exciting about this are the specialist NPQs, which kind of focus in on specific areas of development for teachers. So you've got kind of leading teacher development, supporting the development of others. Then you've got your leading teaching, so developing teachers as subject leads. Then you've got your kind of behaviour and culture for teachers that want to specialise in the pastoral route. And as we all know, the NPQ programme can have a real impact really on the outcomes and progress of our students. I know that at Swindon Academy, it's something that we've invested in over several years with our staff, and it kind of continues and builds on the initial teacher training in the early career framework, following that research through right up into leadership. So we're really excited. The Teacher School Hub is working with two providers, and if you have a read there, you can read both their mission statements there. So we're working with delivery through the Teaching School Hub with Ambition Institute, and we're also offering NPQs through the Church of England. So if you have a read both really of those mission statements, and this will offer some flexibility in terms of delivery models and locations and dates. The frameworks are both approved by the DfE, they're both nationally recognised qualification, and they are available to all schools, all 326 schools within the region. So that gives us, like I said, a bit of choice and a bit of flexibility, and we'll be providing links to all of their information. Can you not see my slide?
I can't, but I just wanted to check that everyone else can. So as long as everyone else can, that's fine. Sorry.
It's all right. Maybe it's a bit laggy with the slides, so hopefully you catch up. Sometimes you have to click it forwards yourself.
Oh yeah, I think it's worked. Great.
Is it working out? Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm just going to pass back to Danielle really to talk about all the partnerships that have been developed within the Swindon and Wiltshire Teaching School Hub and how that's going to work for the NPQs. Danielle.
So for those of you that aren't aware, we're actually based in Bournemouth. So the Swindon and Wiltshire Teaching School Hub has stemmed from Glenmore Academy, and we're based in Bournemouth, as I just said. And so we ticked the box on the form that said, would you be willing to work out of area? One, thinking that potentially we'd get Ringwood 10 minutes down the road, Hampshire 10 minutes down the road. And actually we were given Swindon and Wiltshire as our area. And so the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because it has been really important to us to work really hard over the past couple of months to develop relationships and networks and get to know as many of you in the local area as possible. And I'm really happy to be able to announce that that work has gone really well. One of the things that I've been really overwhelmed by is the amount of collaboration that goes on in Swindon and Wiltshire. People are so keen to talk about professional development, so keen to work together. And so it's been really lovely to be kind of welcomed into that community, to feel part of that network. And so you can see from the slide, we're already working with a lot of partners and stakeholders, a lot more than are on here now. And so part of that is really just to kind of share that with you, but also let you know that we're keen to work with as many of you as possible. We'd like to spread our cohorts for NPQ across Swindon and Wiltshire, as we're aware that there can be a significant amount of travel for people in this area. And so Zoe will ask you to submit an expression of interest towards the end of this call, just to let us know if you are thinking of signing up for an NPQ and which one. And what that will do, that will just help us to think about where we might hold our face-to-face days, depending on numbers. And so really it's just a plea to kind of make sure you share with us any communication around if you're thinking of signing up, what programme you might sign up to, just so we can think really carefully about where we base these cohorts, how many cohorts we might need and so on, just so that we can support as many of you not to have to travel too far as possible. Is that okay, Zoe?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Danielle. So we're going to have a look at the offer with Ambition to begin with. So you can see the 3 specialist NPQs there. And really the content that they focus in on, and the members of staff that you might want to consider. So teachers who are aspiring for middle leadership, middle leaders, but also even some senior leaders may want to, you know, senior leaders that have worked more on teaching and learning side, that want to then maybe move into pastoral, might want to look at behaviour and culture. There's no reason why people that have done existing NPQML might not want to have a go at a specialist NPQML also. There is some common content across the 3 different specialist NPQs. So there is culture is common across all 3. So they all have a module on culture. Implementing change and developing staff is common across all 3 offers there. Leadership NPQ. So there are the 3. The executive leadership, it's worth noting, is delivered through the Ambition Institute only. So that is direct with Ambition. And there is also an additional support offer for head teachers, and there are more details to follow on that. So as well as the NPQH, there's an additional support offer that's being made available, and that is from both of our providers. Okay, so having a look at kind of the programme journey there. So the specialist NPQs are delivered over 1 year with 6 courses. You can see, hopefully you can see there, you've got the insight module followed by application. So the insight is delivered online through the online platform Step Lab. So that is self-directed study for our participants to work through and then apply. This is supported through each 6-week course with a 2-hour clinic, either online or face-to-face, the majority online, if not all. That's to be confirmed. And then they've got a 1-hour community session that will be organised by the lead school. So that'll be one of the lead schools within the Teaching School Hub, and that is directed sort of peer-to-peer support for the participants each term. Okay, so you can have a quick look there at the delivery model. So the specialist NPQs are over 12 months. You can see there's a 1 full-day conference followed by 5 2-hour clinics and then 1 2-hour assessment clinic at the end. This is followed by a 3-month assessment window with a 1,500-word case study. So once they apply for their assessment, they'll be given an 8-day window in which to complete a 1,500-word case study. So that's a big change from the previous NPQs where participants had to produce a project, etc. And these will be marked by the providers here. So that's a bit of a change. You can see the NPQ SL and NPQ H longer, over 18 months, so 1.5 school years, and again with that 3-month assessment window at the end, making a total of 21 months. So based on what we know, this is our delivery model for the Teaching School Hub. So it's looking like a 1-day Saturday conference delivered face-to-face at Swindon Academy or at another lead schools. This might be available on different dates to offer some flexibility to participants. 5 2-hour clinics, they're virtual twilights, 4:30 to 6:30. They'll be facilitated by the course leaders and the visiting fellows, and there will be different dates across the Swindon and Wiltshire Teaching School Hub to allow flexibility. And then the final assessment clinic, and then over the course they've got their 6 communities, and then they've got their 50-minute weekly input, which is their online platform. And it will also be setting up a buddy system, and that'll be set up by your lead school. So if you've got 2 participants in the same school, we would buddy them up together so that they, when they're applying their input from their online module, they can kind of coach each other through that, and they have a buddy kind of to work through the programme with. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the Church of England. So there's some information there on the suitability and the content. So for each of the specialist NPQs, the Church of England has coaching in small groups running throughout the course. They are covering the whole of the UK with their programme. So if you have any other schools that are sort of out of your area and you wanted your staff to kind of do the same programme, they do cover the whole UK. Sort of we're happy to kind of to host future briefings as well with the Church of England if anyone would request it, and they're quite happy to come and talk to us. So having a look at the leadership NPQs there, so you can have a read through the suitability and content, and they have this called, connected and committed. So called is based on defining self-identity and ambitions, school vision, so that you have flourishing children and adults. Connected, developing together with independent continuity of learners. And committed is enacting purpose through evidence-led decision-making actions. So their kind of course has that ethos running through it. So we can have a look at their delivery model there. So you've got your specialists and your leadership NPQs. They've got their total course durations there, 15 and 21 months. that will include the 3-month assessment window. You've got the self-directed study hours there, the live teaching, be that virtual or face-to-face. You've got hours of coaching in their small coaching groups. Their face-to-face sessions will be local, as they have a large number of venues and regions throughout the UK. The only thing to add here is the FE funded, the NPQH is also DFE funded there. So just going into a little bit more detail of what a bit of a further breakdown of the delivery model. So the modules are delivered in learning cycles, and you can see there they've got the sort of they call it activate 12 hours online teaching, teach 20 hours of asynchronous learning, practice in their coaching groups, and then the application is 4 half-day, so 4 lots of half-day face-to-face learning in local training venues, and the days and times for that are to follow. Sharon, placements in other schools, only for the NPQ-H, there would be a placement in other schools. Okay, so moving on to supporting your participants. So as I've already mentioned, they would have buddies that would be organised by your lead school. So if there's only one participant in your school, then we buddy them up with someone else in a different school, that they'd have a contact there. For Ambition, you've got the community termly sessions. What we'd like to do for the Swindon Teaching School offer and Ambition is to, as the first part of the process, ask head teachers or a member of SLT to nominate their participants. It's a very quick 1-minute form, but I'll talk about that in a second. And within the school, each participant should have a sponsor that is either kind of their line manager or a member of SLT. Just really to be that point of contact with a participant and someone really that they can go and speak to regarding their course. The course leaders and visiting fellows will provide support and advice during the clinics, and the course leaders will monitor the progress of the participants through StepLab through the course to ensure that none of them are falling behind, and if they are, then their sponsor would be notified within the school. The Church of England have peer support networks, and they have their small coaching groups. So funding. Okay, so the NPQ Leading Teacher Development and NPQ-H are fully funded for all schools, for state funded schools. If you are in the top 30% pupil premium nationally, you would have received a letter from us this week informing you that you are eligible for funding for all of the NPQs that are on offer. And if you've got any questions, or if you'd like me to check for you whether you're fully funded or not, if you just drop me an email, I can check that for you. Okay, so on really to the application process. So for Ambition and through the Teaching School Hub, we'd like you to complete an expression of interest. We'd just like to know numbers at this point, no further details. So name of school, email, how many participants on which course. So it's literally just filling in some numbers. Once we receive those numbers, as Danielle said, we can then put together a plan of locations and where we would hold those face-to-face sessions, and which lead schools would run which NPQs for us. So we'd like that back really quickly by the end of next week, if you can. If you want to send it over the summer, please do as well, just to give us an idea of numbers. The second step there, so that I have given you the link, so that can be sent now, but opening after the holiday is the head teacher or SLT nominating each applicant, and that's really a quick form. Again, name of school, name and email of applicant, and which NPQ they would like to complete. This will then generate the application direct to them through Ambition. Okay, so a link is sent from Ambition from their portal to those who are nominated, and the deadline for that would be the 15th of October. And then those applications are checked by us and you will receive a confirmation, and we're just waiting for Ambition to confirm that that would be via their portal, and our deadline for that would be the 22nd of October. Our NPQs for Ambition are starting in November this year. For the Church of England, you can apply direct to them. If you click the link here, their applications are now open. They have some NPQs beginning in November, and they have some in January and February, both opening. I can see that there are lots and lots of questions there. So I'll go back over to Danielle.
I have tried to answer as many of them as I can, Zoe. You might have some that you can add to, but I think we're up to date there. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask in person as opposed to the chat? Very promising then, in that case, Zoe. Good work.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just really, if you can get those expressions of interest back to us, what I'll do right now is I'll paste the link into the chat. And I will also, as I've said, follow that up with an email.
Zoe, I don't know if you want to say something about costings for the programmes that obviously people will have to pay for. Do you intend to kind of send those out or signpost people to those? Because I imagine for a lot of people, they'll need to get their line manager's confirmation that the school are happy to pay for those if it's not funded.
Yeah, they do. The costs do vary between the specialists around £900 and the leadership about £1,100. But there's only a very slight variation in those costings between providers, and all that information will be on the flyers that come out tomorrow. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
So the link is then in the chat. If you could give us some idea of numbers, that would be fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us at 5 o'clock. I know we're all keen to get outside and enjoy the sunshine. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'll send the presentation out to you. Debbie, independent schools, we're waiting for some clarification on that from Ambition, aren't we, Danielle? To come, so hopefully we can get an answer to that this week.
Yeah, the latest I'd heard is that yes, but yes, fingers crossed as soon as we hear. Debbie, are you able to get in contact with us directly if I put Zoe's email address in the chat for you, just so that we know to get back to you once, sorry, I'm just trying to get Zoe's email, once we have an answer.
I can type it in for you, Danielle, that's fine. Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, that we should know that fairly soon, shouldn't we? I think
we should.
There was another question that I had that was if you were still just finishing an existing NPQ, can you start a new one? And we're waiting for clarification on that too. Okay.